How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Emerald City Hockey's post-game live presented by Flat Stick Pub. First home game of the season. Same result, though, that we've come to expect, unfortunately, for the Kraken this season, as they dropped the home opener to Colorado 4-1. I mean, it's not a good situation, right? Like I'm trying to think of ways of staying positive and being upbeat and all that good stuff without it coming across as um disingenuous or something like that. But the bottom line is it's worry time, if not panic time, just because the Kraken can't seem to score more than one goal a game. And there are some sports where a one for you is really, really good, right? Such as golf or mini golf at Flat Stick Pub, right? That would be a fantastic time to only have a one in the score column, right? You just go out there, maybe go over there post game after the game, you get your dollar off your beer, you play a couple holes, try to relax over at Flat Stick, and you put up only a one. And you know what? You just hole in one, hole in one, hole in one. Awesome. That's the way it goes. Hockey, unfortunately, is not the same as mini golf. And a one is not going to cut it most games. It's not going to cut it really, 90% of the time. And I just I don't know what else to do, what else to talk about, because the Kraken are playing well. They are playing well. They had 70 shot attempts in this one. 70. They had 30 shots on goal through the first two periods. When was the last time you saw a team have 30 shots on goal through two periods? I mean, a lot of teams don't even get that in an entire game anymore. So they're playing well. The first two power plays look good. The penalty kill is unbelievable right now. They're winning faceoffs. They're doing that. Possession numbers tonight, they were a little iffy for some of the lines, but for some of the lines, they're still really solid. They're winning the possession battles. Grubauer still looks good in net. But if you can't finish, if you can't score, you just can't win. And that's where the Kraken are at right now. And it's unfortunate because it is one of those things where when that's the thing that's costing you from winning a game, it it really just zaps the energy and the excitement out of things, doesn't it? It's kind of the one thing, right? It'd be one thing if they're losing these games like 5-4, they're at least still exciting games. There's moments where you feel like you're in it, but boy, being on the Discord, being on Twitter, even just taking a glance over at the comment section right now, I get why everybody kind of feels the way that they do. It's tough. It's a rough situation that the Kraken are in right now when you can't finish, because it does kind of create this hopeless feeling sometimes. But again, there was lots of good news. Their passing looked better. The power play looked better at the beginning. They had so many shots. Like at some point the dam will break. It has to. Oh, all right. So as I transition over here, I see the comment here from Isaac. No, RJ. RJ will join us later. He was at the game. He's credentialed for all the games. So RJ is at the game. He's going to go down, do all the post-game media availabilities, and then he's going to join us usually about half an hour into post-game live is when RJ joins us, and then we get to hear what Hackstall had to say, what the players had to say, all that good stuff. We can get RJ's opinion on the game. Starting things off with Coop. I mean, I know this has been your thing, Coop, right? 970 save percentage, 1 save percentage, 100% there, 968, and then tonight 973 opposing goaltending. This team can't shoot. I really don't think it's just bad luck. I think there are elements to that, right? Like at some point, it becomes undeniable that the Kraken have issues with their finishing. But at the same time, so much, if you look at the top scorers in this league, so few of them shoot at 15+%. So much of it is driven on volume shooting. You go look at Alex Ovechkin's numbers through the last 20 years, and it's a lot based on volume shooting. You look at Austin Matthews, it's volume shooting, and the Kraken right now are volume shooting. Like at some point they're going to start scoring, and the scoring should catch up to what they're doing. It's just right now, I'm with you. It looks terrible, and it does. at one time it's a fluke, it can happen, right? Two times it's like, well, okay, coincidence. And then by three, game four, it's starting to look like a pattern. So I totally see where you're coming from, Coop, but I just think it's one of those things that just needs a little bit more time. Schultz here with the super chat, though. Thank you very, very much. Really, really appreciate that. Power play needs to be rebuilt. Give the PK line a go. Last season, there was an over reliance on one timer. Maybe go back to that. How much for Nylander? Oh my gosh, if we could get Nylander right now, that would be phenomenal. I don't think Toronto's going to move on from him unless things really start going bad for them in the next little bit. That would be more of like an off-season move. I'm with you, though. Power play completely needs to be rebuilt. I don't like the fact that Tolvanen is kind of on the other side. You can't use the Tolvanen one-timer. I think that's a mistake. At some point, and I know there's already some comments in there. I don't know if there's necessarily fire Hackstall comments, but comments about Ron Francis, comments about Dave Hackstall, the coaching staff, all that kind of stuff. At some point, I don't know where the line is going to be for the Kraken, but if this continues, if you continue to lose games, if you lose the first, 6, 7 games of the year, and the power play is still, right now you've allowed more shorthanded goals on your power play than your power play has scored. If that continues, at some point, I have to assume that there will be a shakeup with the coaching staff. Somebody will, whoever's in charge of the power play, Paul McFarland, is going to be fired. Like, you just have to make a change at some point. You have to send the message to the team. You have to send the message to the fan base, right? I mean, everybody's here talking about it. Something has to happen. But yeah, the fact that you're going another game 0 for 4 on the power play, it's just inexcusable, especially when you're dominating 5-on-5. You're dominating in shots, 38 shots on goal. Like I said, 70 plus shot attempts in this one. The fact that all goes to die on the power play is a really, really big problem for them. So definitely needs a change. I'm with you. Yeah. Like I said, get Tolvanen back on the other side, at least have his one timer as a threat, right? Even if he's not going to score with it all the time, you'll at least have it there as a threat. And I think that's what we need. Gary with the super chat. Thank you very much, Gary. Appreciate it. Year one, we just kind of sucked. This year, we can clearly see a better team versus year one. Hockey is still fun, and I'd rather have this than no hockey. It is. This is all still a lot better than the month of August, where just nothing's happening, and it's just a hockey wasteland. It's terrible. I'm totally with you there, Gary. And yes, it is true. This team looks light years better than they did year one. We talked about this last time. I think we talked about it on the deep dive yesterday, RJ and I. The fact that we just have goaltending, right? Like the goaltending was historically like all-time expected goals against terrible, bad from the goaltending year one. That is definitely not the problem here. Like I said, 5-on-5, this team is not struggling at all. They can get it done. The penalty kill looks fantastic. There are so many positives to talk about with this team. The problem is the power play is such a heavy anchor that it's a problem, and the fact that you're just not winning games. Like I said, the fact that you're not scoring really makes everything seem a lot worse than it is. It's just one of those problems. It's one of those byproducts, and it's just an issue. Now I'm seeing stuff like here at the bottom, Beat Boop with it's not the coach's fault. The team has no talent. I know there's more comments up here about Ron Francis and either him needing to make a move or just not assembling a good roster. Michael, how long before Ron is calling teams about acquiring someone who actually knows how to score a goal? I know that there was another one from Sean here. Folks, this is, at least to some extent, a GM problem. This combination of players is not a winning combination. And I see some agreement with that as well. So here's the thing. Let's talk about it, right? Because this is a team that last year we were lauding them for their depth and the fact that they had 4 lines, that could contribute, 4 lines that could score. The fact that you're rolling into the playoffs and we were clearly deeper than Colorado, and at times we looked deeper than Dallas. I don't know that it's fair to start jumping on Ron Francis for the roster right now. We talked about it again yesterday on the deep dive. This is a roster that is constructed for the playoffs, and it's constructed for playoff hockey. It's constructed around centers that are two-way centers, 200-foot players, guys that are, there just as much to keep the other team from doing something as they are there to do something themselves. I think that maybe Ron Francis went a little overboard on that. There's maybe a little bit too much, and that's where we get the podcast title from yesterday, where are they too much of a playoff team? Um, I I think it's definitely possible. We saw the lineup shakeup that Dave Hackstall had for us tonight, where he put Bjorkstrand up onto the second line, kicks Burakovsky down to the third line, and we actually saw some really good results from that third line. Burakovsky, Gord, Tolvanen had some really, really nice expected goals for numbers compared to their expected goals against. The problem was the Schwartz, Winberg, Bjorkstrand combination was bad. It was really, really bad. The numbers say it was bad. The eyeball test says it looks bad. At at some point, yeah, at some point something needs to change. We did see more ice time for the Gord Tolvanen Burakovsky line. I don't know. Wenberg and Beniers, because the Beniers line was also really bad. It was actually worse tonight from an expected goal standpoint. They really didn't generate a lot of offense, and they gave up a ton of the big chances against. At some point, yeah, Wenberg and Beniers are going to have to kind of pick things up and maybe just decide to focus on offense. They are good players. They're capable of it. But at some point, maybe they're going to have to fight their normal instinct to, you know, play that 200-foot game, and they're going to have to find a way to help generate some offense there. Cameron with the super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Cameron. Are we missing Spronger, Donato, or Geeky right now? I feel like we might be. Well, yes and no, right? We had this phenomenal fourth line last year. It was able to contribute to the depth and the scoring that the Kraken did have. However, look at tonight. The fourth line was the line to score the goal, right? Yams has that fantastic goal, really tough angle shot. I mean, it was a great, great goal. Ty Cartier, I think, led the way in expected goals for the Kraken. I mean, he's just a beast when it comes to that kind of stuff. He looks fantastic. I mean, Belmar with an unbelievable expected goals percentage of over 90%. I mean, he just drives play when he's out there. So the fourth line this year, while it looks different and it's probably not going to score as many goals, I'm with everybody there. They're not going to score as much, most likely. They were arguably the best line that the Kraken had tonight anyway, right? They were still the line out there doing things. So as much as it's easy to say, hey, look, Donato's scoring elsewhere, what about the goals that, Geeky left, right, and took with him, or Donato? Um, at the same time, the fourth line is really just not the problem here. It's certainly not the problem when it comes to scoring. At some point, one of those top three lines has to start contributing. They have to start scoring goals. They just do. No team is going to win if their top three lines can't be relied on to score more than a goal a game. And so I know it hurts seeing those guys leave, and we know what the fourth line was able to do for them last year. But at some point, I mean, it is on the bigger guys. It's on the guys that you're paying $5-6 million a year for to step up and do something. And right now, somehow you have 9 of those guys just about, and none of them are doing anything, or at least they're not able to finish. Like I said, they are doing stuff. You get 70 shots on, 70 shot attempts. You're doing something. Even ESPN was talking about how bad Colorado looked in this game. I mean, the Kraken did that. We frustrated Nathan McKinnon again, right? We dominated in the faceoff circle. There's still so many positives I can point to and say, see, look, this team is good. But it's getting harder and harder when they only could score 1 goal a game and they go 0 for 4 on the power play, it seems like every night. I'm trying, though. I'm trying to stay positive, everybody. Let's see. I see some people agreeing with this comment from Alex, so let me read that one. Schwartz is a perfect third guy on a second line. Can't carry a line, though, in my opinion. Wenny is, as always, too good to be a 3C, but doesn't do enough offensively to be a true 2C on a cup contender. Seems like we've been talking about that a lot. I'm with you there, Alex. I think Wenberg, he seems a lot better than any third line center around the league. The bottom line is, though, that the offense just isn't there right now at all. And so I think that, and we saw it tonight, like I mentioned earlier, we saw more of that Yanni Gord line than we did of the Wenberg line. I think we might start seeing that more and more. I think Hackstall is going to start he's going to have to kind of go with them over Alexander Wenberg. Looking at the ice time, though, I mean, Wenberg's still second amongst forwards on the team. Like I know that he's out there for the two PKs. I don't know how much power play time he has. I don't have that breakdown here in front of me. But second to Matty Beniers, and that's the other guy that everybody keeps bringing up, right? As somebody who kind of needs to start producing a little bit more. So I don't know. I think Hackstall's trying to give them time, trying to give them reps, trying to let them break through this on their own. We did see the little bit of a line shakeup tonight, right? With the swapping of those two wingers. I thought it did help Berkey a little bit. He looked like a more complete player, and that Yanni Gordline did look good. But we'll see if Hackstall after this one, now that they have had a game at home, if he decides to shake it up. But it's hard when you dominate possession, you dominate everything the way the Kraken did tonight. It's hard to then say, yeah, I need to kind of blow this up, and I think we really need to figure something out. You know what I mean? It's such a tough and weird situation to be in, to have a team playing as well as it is, but to be struggling so much. I'm not envious of Hackstall or Ron Francis in how that they're supposed to, figure this out and deal with it. It's just such a tough situation. Schultz, so much for us being home Warriors this season. It was arguably their best game of the year, right? From a lot of perspectives, but yes, they didn't win it, and that was what we were hoping for. Krakenok, well, we're winless, but at least our face-off wins look good in the first period. They look kind of good throughout. I mean, was it the end of the second period? They were up like 70%. Certainly the first period, I think it was 70% in favor of the Kraken. I mean, that's something, I took screenshots, people were sending me pictures from the game of the number because we just couldn't believe it. But the Kraken are really starting to get better there. Matty Beniers has taken a big step forward as far as the faceoffs go. Belmar 100% tonight, right? Jared McCann took a couple 100%. So the team is getting better in that, and that is going to continue to help them. I think it in part contributed to those first two power plays looking better than before, and they got some nice chances off of those. So we'll get there. DJ and Tay, listen, I don't know a lot, but if I performed like this at work, I'd be let go, and I don't make nearly what these guys make. Man, it is true. And sports is a results oriented business. Ask anybody in sports, they will tell you that. They'll also tell you that you haven't worked in sports until you've been fired. So I guess technically I never worked in sports, but it's tough. It's tough. And if this continues for another week, probably, I think they'll give it through the end of this homestand. The game against Carolina Thursday, the game against the Rangers on Saturday. If after that, though, like the results stay the same, you only pick up another point or two, and things still kind of look like this, I think we're going to start seeing some shakeups and some changes happening. There's just no way around it. Let's see here, Daniel. It really sucked. It did. It's just the way it is. Brian Yams has been fun to watch. He has. He's fantastic, and he's played himself. Both him and Cartier, in my opinion. I don't know how you're supposed to take them out of the lineup. I know Tanev's going to be out for a while, 4 to 6 weeks with the lower body injury was what they said yesterday. The way both of those guys are playing, I mean, they look so good. They're probably the two best forwards on the team right now, just in the way they're playing, the effort level that they have, the way that they can win puck battles. And especially with Yamamoto, right? He's a small guy. He's able to win these puck battles against guys that are just, they outweigh him by 40 pounds. They've got 6 or 7 inches on him, and he can just go in there and use body positioning, use his smarts, use the leverage he has from being, lower to and all that kind of stuff. And he can come away with the puck. And then Ty Cartier is just like, he has the big body and he just goes in and he bullies his way to the puck, and it looks great. But just the way that they're able to control the puck in the offensive zone right now, they just look better than anybody else on this team. They can skate with it. They can drive the net. They get really good shots off. They get themselves open, right? They're able to get passes from each other. They're open in the slot. They just look so good right now. And again, that is a credit to Ron Francis. He saw Yamamoto available after the buyout in Detroit. He went out, acquired him, brought him in. Ty Cartier, undrafted player. The Kraken found him, right? To develop him in Coachella Valley. Now he's here. That is an organizational success of the highest levels, Ty Cartier. And it's something that shouldn't be forgotten. But yeah, I mean, right now, those guys are just on fire. They are just on fire. Fantastic. B, I don't understand Hackstall. Why would you willingly do an empty net power play when you've already been scored on shorthanded in this game? It's not going to help. It's one of those, that's what you're supposed to do in that situation. Again, the Kraken, when it comes to power plays, just doesn't make sense. You got to throw all, 150 years of hockey history out the window when it comes to this power play. Because yes, it does mean that you're gonna somehow allow a goal against rather than score one. But I understand the thinking there from Hackstall. You got to get back in that game. It's a 2-goal game. That is an opportunity to do it 5-on-4. You make that call, but yeah, you understand that it's a low probability of success call. Sergeant Pickles studs. Ebbs with the old man strength. Booing Makar is still fun. Top shelf Yams. We talked about Yamamoto already. Booing Makar. Seattle, man, like just better than anybody else when it comes to this, right? The ability to just start booing the moment the puck is on his stick, and the moment it's gone, the boos cease. Like it's unreal. If you didn't know better, you think it was piped in and there was somebody on a button and they're releasing the button. But Seattle fans showing how great they are with the whole Cale Makar thing. And then yes, Eberle answering the bell for the hit on Cogliano from last playoffs that unfortunately did fracture some vertebrae for him. That's, it's hockey. That's the code. That's what happens. Eberle seemed to understand that. He was a willing participant, did the fight. Everything's over now, right? It's all good. Moving on. And it's a shame because Eberle was getting some good stuff in there before the jersey got kind of pulled over his head. Sergeant Pickles duds decline the power play. If only, if only. I think the Kraken should petition the NHL at the next Board of Governors meeting for the ability to decline a power play. I said it on Discord when Nathan McKinnon took that penalty right after the Kraken had their third or their previous power play attempt. I think their second power play attempt, and then McKinnon took another penalty there. I was like, stop taking penalties and killing our momentum, because that's what it felt like the Avalanche were doing. It almost felt like they knew what they were doing by taking penalties. Like, this is how you slow the Kraken down, because the Kraken were just eating them up at that point. I mean, it was just no contest. You look at that second period, 14-5 shots in favor of the Kraken. And again, that's just shots on goal. That's not counting all the shot attempts that go wide or get blocked or any of that stuff. But yes, if only Sergeant Pickles, we could decline the power play. Stats won't show how well Group played. One season wonder status approaching quickly. Look, remember everybody, we did start bad last year. There was the whole fire Hackstall movement. I tried to preach patience a little bit. It seemed everything ended up working out. There is still definitely time. But I think Absurdly Sane's kind of got it right now. I try not to be doom and gloom, but the boys are making me very sad right now. And I kind of agree with that. It's more of like a disappointment and sad thing rather than like a, come on, get your stuff together kind of thing, right? That's at least where I'm at right now. They're giving me enough of other things to be happy about. Sean, it's going bad. That's how it's going. Fair. Ty, ticket price is going down. Woo! There's at least something positive. George, try my best to stay positive, but this offense is concerning. 3 goals in 4 games. Matthews has double the goals himself in 1 less game. I know, starting off the season, back-to-back hat tricks for him. Very impressive. It's true. I mean, we talked about it before. You absolutely need to score more than they're scoring. Lindsay, I miss the days of 10-9 overtime wins. Yes. Like I said, it's one of those, you can lose these games, but if you feel like your team can actually score and they put up goals, you feel a lot more hopeful about things, right? You're able to look at it and say, well, look, we dominated shot attempts, we dominated possession, right? We just didn't have the puck luck tonight. We'll get them next time. But when the team can't score more than 1 goal, if that, it makes it really hard to have that same kind of line of thinking. And that's where we're at right now, unfortunately. Christian pointing out the face-off percentage. I know they did great today. Like, again, there's positives here. There's definitely positives you can build off of. Just build faster would be my suggestion to the Kraken. Oh, man. Edward, they do know they can score more than 1 goal per game, right? I guess they don't. I could text RJ. Maybe you can tell Dave Hackstall while he's while he's there. Just remind him of that. Something there. Let's see. Jules, nice transition there for the ad. I tried. I feel bad for Flat Stick Pub, right? They came in, they were so excited to work with us. We're super excited to work with them, do some live events there. And then the post-game lives just have to keep coming on after all these losses, but just means the win is going to be that much sweeter for sure. Joey, it's very close to panic time. Hurricanes and Rangers coming up. 0-5-1 is staring us in the face. I still don't think it's going to be that bad. I still don't think we're going to do that. And right now, the Canes, they're all over the place. As Lindsay's saying, Canes have looked vulnerable. Got to beat them convincingly, in my opinion. I don't even think you need to win convincingly. I just think you have to get 2 points, right? You need a win. You need something in the win column if you are the Kraken at this moment. That's what the team needs right now more than anything. All right, we've got RJ here, so let me go ahead and see if I remember how to do all this. Bring RJ in. How's it going, RJ? I know, we're open for the home opener win, all that good stuff. Didn't quite get that, but I still stay loud, having a good time. He's through most of the game. I got to imagine it was fun to be back.
Yeah, definitely fun to be back in this spot. It's been a long time. I was Game 6 against Dallas the last time that I was here for a post-game live, and it's great to be back, although a very different feeling right now than it was after Game 6 against the Stars in the second round of the playoffs. Not the result the Kraken wanted, not the home opener everyone wanted. Some positives to take away from it. I'm sure you've gone over, some of the positives and the negatives, but ultimately, it's their first 4-game losing streak since the end of the inaugural season.
Yeah, it's that was the one thing I didn't bring up there.
Oh, sorry.
All right, here. We just got a super chat here from Tati, I think. Let me know in the comments. Definitely still trying to stay positive. It's still early in the season, but we definitely need to shake some things up and build faster, like you said, before October gets away from us. Hashtag Let's Go Kraken. Thank you so much for the super chat there. Yeah, RJ, I was talking about earlier. There's a lot of positives that the Kraken can build off of. You dominated possession in this one, right? You had 70 plus shot attempts. You had so many shots on goal in this one. The PK still looks unbeatable. Faceoffs are no longer a concern really for this team. These are all really solid building blocks. Goaltending still looks solid. These are solid building blocks. The problem is the Kraken aren't really building fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's those positives to take away from it. Normally, you look at all those things and you think you give yourself a really good chance to win, and I think they did tonight. But it's just finishing. Finishing is the number one area of concern right now. And I think that's something the players seem, Eberle and Yamamoto, kind of talk about just gripping the sticks a little bit hard. And when things aren't going your way, maybe overthink it. Yamamoto, I think for the one Kraken goal, he really wasn't overthinking it. He looked up, saw that Georgiev was a little bit off his angle and just kind of tried to throw it above him and hit a spot. And hearing Yamamoto talk his way through what he saw on that goal, that's the kind of play you make when you're not overthinking it, when you have that quick opportunity, right? But I think otherwise, when they have, especially these odd man rushes, so many 2-on-1s and breaks where you can try and pick your spot, maybe you have a little bit too much time to think about it, and it didn't really go the Kraken's way. So, finishing is really just the number one culprit here.
Yeah. Duthan with a super chat here. Thank you very much, Duthan. Shout out for Cartier's first regular season point and Yam's first Kraken goal. They deserve some more ice time. I was talking about them earlier too, RJ. They look like the best Kraken forwards right now. They just do, as far as their ability to generate chances, get things going. Win puck battles, like all of that. They are just on fire.
They are. This is the fourth line that it's different players, but it's kind of the fourth line impact that we remember the fourth line having from last season. And it's really refreshing to see that this group can do that for this team, especially with that early goal. There were so many times last season where the Kraken had an early goal to get on the board first from their fourth line. And it just felt really familiar with that goal from Yamamoto getting the Kraken on the board. And yeah, the two of them just playing really well together, and Belmar centering that line also just looking really good. Yamamoto, I've loved his game so far. Nobody on the Kraken works harder for contested pucks than Kyler Yamamoto. You look at him in these battles, usually against players much bigger than he is. He wins so many battles just on effort. I love seeing that from him. Wish we'd see it from a few more players on the team.
Yeah. Let's see. So I talked about the bad start that the team had last year, but they were able to overcome it. Alan responding here, sure, we started bad last season, but at least we were scoring. This is a team issue. And then onslaught. I agree, Alan. Different starts, both bad, but one feels way worse and harder to recover from. Really, my theme of the night, RJ, has been when you're only kind of scoring one goal a game, if that, it's a lot harder to be excited about the good things, right? It's one thing to lose a game 5-4. You at least feel like your team can score. Okay, the puck luck wasn't with us tonight, but we had the possession numbers. We had the shot attempt numbers. We'll get them next time. Right now, with the Kraken's inability to finish, it's really, really hard to take these positives and say, well, look, at some point that's going to translate into wins.
You know, I think that's from a fan perspective, you know, the way that you look at it, and it can be just depressing with the Kraken unable to score multiple goals in a game. But I think Dave Haxtell maybe looks at it the other way. And actually, he was asked today after the game, is the message to your team a little bit different than if you were losing these games, 6-5 or 3-4? And he said, yeah, it is. And it sounded like he painted kind of a more optimistic picture that we are doing a lot of these fundamental things right. It is just a matter of finishing, as opposed to when the Kraken were in a lot of, 6-5, 4-3 games last season, where generally coaches don't like those kind of games as much, because it usually means you're making mistakes the other team's capitalizing on. You're just kind of scoring your way out of those mistakes. And so I think Haxtell might even prefer, if you're going to lose games, he doesn't want to lose games, but if you are, maybe losing them like this.
Coach,
I know no one wants to hear that. I know no one wants to hear that. But he did say, he liked the team's effort tonight. He did provide some positive there. He said we just need a little bit more. But I think he does like a lot of what the team is doing right now.
I like Jay. I mean, they lost 4-1. Right? Like that is the answer to that from Haxtell or any coach, right? Because a lot of coaches would say that. I don't mean to just dump on Haxtell, but it is, it's one of those where, one, I just want to remind everybody, sports is an entertainment business. So if you got to lose games high scoring, that is actually better for everybody. But two, it's so tough. It's so tough. Like it's the one thing where we talk about all the time in sports. One of the best things about sports is the hope of and especially hockey. You go into every game thinking your team can do it, and when your team just can't score, RJ, it's that takes the hope away.
You kind of saw the effect on the crowd tonight as well. I mean, they were hyped up, they were ready to go, great sellout crowd. But at a certain point, I think you did sense in the building that they kind of had the feeling, okay, these pucks aren't going to go in for us.
Yeah. Nicole, remember last season where I jokingly said that when we lost more faceoffs, we won more games? We need to start losing more faceoffs again. That goes in tandem with Lindsay a little earlier. Kraken made a deal with the Devil to win over 50% of faceoffs at the cost of not being able to score and losing games. It's got those vibes, RJ.
It does. I mean, and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare certainly not helping. 7 for 7 tonight in the dot. I mean, just excellent job from the Kraken on faceoffs, but yeah, I mean, you can see it's not exactly correlated with wins.
No, Matty Beniers also really looks like he's kind of figured things out in the face-off circle as well. And that's great to see. I mean, that was one of the things he needed to take another step forward on. Definitely happy to see that. James with the super chat. Thank you very much, James. If the fourth line still seems like our best, doesn't that make it even more obvious our top line forwards aren't talented enough? Beniers, Wenny, Schwartz, etc. This has been the other theme of the night, RJ, in the comment section, which has been the roster isn't good enough, or it's not talented enough, or somehow Ron needs to really shake this group up because, and I said it earlier too, when the fourth line is your best line, right? Like at some point, your top 3 forward lines have to score. They have to produce if you want to win hockey games.
Yeah, and I know looking at, certainly looking at expected goals, we had a lot of time waiting for Haxtell tonight. So I took a look at Money Puck and saw the Beniers line did pretty poorly in that category. It was a rough game for them in that one. And, I thought you did see a little bit of a jump from those middle 2 lines with Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand swapped around. I know Haxtell, I asked him too what he thought of the new look with those 2 guys swapping lines. And he did point out Bjorkstrand's play as someone that he really liked. bringing that energy to the Wenberg line. So he did like it from them. But yeah, at the end of the day, you need finishing. Need guys who can kind of take over a game. There's one shift that I remember kind of in the third period with the Kraken trailing, and it was the Tolvanen, Gord, and now Burakovsky line out there. And they had a really good cycle going, and they were working it along the outside, but nobody was really moving to the inside. And that's one where I'd like to see maybe an Andre Burakovsky use that size, make a move, try and get to the inside when you have the puck, and create something extra there, where it just seemed like they were kind of content sticking to the outside. And at a certain point, somebody has to take over. And yeah, I'm looking at the guys who are, I know everyone kind of has around that $5 million salary on this team, but the guys who are maybe a little higher paid were brought in to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because Berkey was doing that when he was on the second line, and then they put him in a spot where he has somebody like a Yanni Gord who can come in and back him up, right? Because that was part of the problem with Burakovsky, was he would drive kind of to the center of the ice there, and then he wasn't getting support from Wenberg or from Schwartz, because that's just not really where they play or how they play. And now here he is with somebody like a Yanni Gord or an Ellie Tolvanen who could totally support that style of play, and he doesn't do it. Like, it was just kind of like, Hopefully, though, with some more reps, if Hackstall decides to keep that unit together, they'll figure that out. They'll build that chemistry. But that one was an interesting one. And then, yeah, Bjorkstrand was really the only guy that stood out on that second line. RJ, I mean, I'm looking at things here. It's really tough, because you look at everything. Like, no matter where I look, I see the Kraken did better than Colorado. Even ESPN all broadcast long was talking about how this is going to be one where Colorado's just going to throw away the tape. They're not going to look at it. It's really weird, this team not being able to score the way that they are. The other thing, RJ, give up another shorthanded goals. You have allowed more shorthanded goals than you have scored on the power play, as the power play goes 0 for 4 again. Was that mentioned at all to Hackstall? Was that talked about at all in post game?
Yes, it was. And of course, he was asked, well, how much of a turning point is a moment like that? And he did not downplay the significance of it at all. He said that's an important, you can't do that. And yeah, I think everybody realizes, and Jordan Eberle was talking about that too. I was kind of on the edge of a very large scrum, because it's the season opener, and for Eberle anyway, but it definitely sounded like he was, had mentioned like stuff like that can't happen, and that it was a turning point, kind of a gut punch at that point in the game. And I mean, we saw it in the Nashville game. Like, I thought the Kraken responded to it a little bit better tonight than they did in the Nashville game. But when you allow a shorthanded goal to take the lead like that, it's just such a killer goal to allow. And especially when the power play is already struggling. At this point, you're just kind of hoping they can just stay 500 on it, right? I mean, the Kraken, they've scored 0 and allowed 0 when shorthanded. They've scored 1 and allowed 2 and on the power play. So, when the penalty kill has a better plus minus, it's not good.
No, it's definitely not ideal for anybody. Daniel, Berkey just seems a bit slow to me every play in every situation, and Sean agreeing that Berkey does look slow. I mean, do you think he's still just coming back from the injury? You think that's what that is?
I think there's an element of that. Yeah, I don't think he's fully 100% himself yet, and that's to be expected. Like, I don't want to go too hard on him just because it's tough to come back from what he's coming back from. But the part that's concerned me the most, I guess, is just the shooting. You'd think that wouldn't really be affected very much. And even in this game, he had his chances. I think of that 2-on-1 where the defenseman just took the pass away completely. Burakovsky has the chance to pick his spot, slow down, and you have a guy with elite shooting talent should be able to maybe pick a spot there. I don't know if he missed the net or Georgiev got a little piece of it. To me, it looked like he missed the net, but either way, you don't convert and it's not particularly close. So that's the kind of stuff that I really do want to see from him.
Yeah, it would be nice. Alex, playing good fundamental hockey, struggling to score goals, losing close games. That's just describing the Coyotes.
Oof.
It's not, you're not wrong, but I don't like it. Oh man. I mean, look, there's lots of positive stuff. Let's talk about the crowd though, because I did feel like the crowd did help give the Kraken a big boost, particularly through the first 2 periods. RJ, it felt like the Kraken had just a lot more energy than than the Avalanche had. It felt like the crowd really helped the guys out.
Yeah, the crowd absolutely brought it tonight. And this is what you would hope and what you'd expect from a home opener crowd. Absolutely packed. hardly any empty seats. It was just, packed all the way through. Looking at the seats, it was great. And yeah, they were loud. They got into it. I thought the hype video, the pump up video at the start of the game was really good, really well done. I posted that on Twitter. It's 4.5 minutes long or so, but I think that helped really get everyone into it too. I liked some of the newer, game presentation elements and everything. And yeah, they did bring it from start to finish. They also, I'm sure you noticed, booed Cale Makar right off the bat and continued all the way through the game. So very committed to that one. And you could tell they were kind of in it all night.
Yeah, no, they were, and we talked about that for sure early on. Then you get the Eberle fights also towards the beginning of the game, answering the bell from Cogs. Seemed like that went over pretty decently with the crowd as well. Thanks Gary and Jay for asking everybody to like the stream as always. Always appreciate it. And just because I just mentioned the Jordan Eberle thing, here's one from Jay. Or a couple people asking why nobody fought Cale Makar. And for me, the answer is because Makar got the suspension for the hit.
Yeah, I think that might be part of it. I think the Kraken also at this point in the season, 0-2-1, we know how much they really felt like they needed this win. I felt they were just focused on that first and foremost. There's a reason they really didn't go after him in the rest of that playoff series, and that's because those are important games. Those are games the Kraken needed to win. I felt like they had a similar mindset in this one. And yeah, this is something that other media members were kind of talking to me about before the game, and they disagreed with me. I did kind of have a hunch that no one was really going to go after Cale Makar. It just felt like this was too important of a game, and that's kind of how it ended up turning out.
Yeah. And Joey, I see your comment there. When I said it was over, I meant from an Eberle standpoint, right? Him answering the bell with Logan O'Connor there was the answer, was, putting to bed that side of things. Ran, thank you very much for the super sticker there. Really, really appreciate that. That is awesome. If you got a comment, feel free to stick it in. We'll definitely read it out. Let's see, Jake, is this a secret plan to regain the element of surprise? Is that what this is, RJ? They just need to have the lower expectations so they can overperform.
The players have said, just about everyone that we've talked to at some point has said, teams aren't going to take us lightly anymore. Heck, Ron Francis even said it. Teams aren't going to take us lightly this year. And we're certainly seeing that early on. And I guess, maybe if you lose enough games, teams might start to take it a little more lightly. It's not really the way you want to go about it. I don't think that's intentional, but, might be an interesting side effect.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Good morning, Barbara. Yeah, I know this wasn't the score you hope to see waking up. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's probably been that way through all of the season. Hopefully they'll turn it around soon. Daniel, seems like the Kraken finally have the team everyone thought we'd have after the expansion draft. Good goaltending, solid defense, yet aren't able to score.
Huh. You know what? Actually, this is pretty much what if these were the first 4 games of the inaugural season, I think we'd be saying this is exactly what we thought would happen. Yeah, that's a really good observation.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the way it is. The very good call there, Daniel. I know somebody else had said earlier that it looked like an expansion team. Sean, let me be clear. This looks like a first-year expansion team. In some ways for sure. Let's see. Coop, RJ, do they have the same tentacle ice shatter statue thingy? That's
yes,
its official title, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's the technical term for it. Yeah, no, they do have the tentacle still. It still comes down and it still lights up and everything. They don't do the shattered ice effect around it in the same way. They kind of have the Kraken tentacle like wrestling a puck with the other team's logo on it. Again, check out on Twitter. I put up that whole video. You kind of see it. But yes, they do still have the tentacle up there.
Yeah. Pablo, if we can beat Carolina, we'll get some momentum. We can start winning games. We can get confidence. And that's what this team needs, I think. I agree. I mean, my whole thing is, RJ, I think they're going to wait through the rest of this homestand, those next 2 games. And then we, if things really continue the way they're going, I think then we'd start seeing some major shakeups, whether it's something within the coaching staff or some major line, blender action. But I think those next 2 games, they're going to go ahead and give them that, I would assume, right?
I think so. And I given what Hackstall has said too, I think he sees a lot of the underlying positives that you can look at. And I bet you he thinks it's just a matter of time before the pucks start going in. He'll give them that chance. But yeah, if they go these next 2 games and can't manage to score multiple goals in a game, I mean, you have to shake things up.
Yeah. Plenty of season left, but they need to get this stuff under control. Back to the fundamentals from Sean. Problem is the fundamentals are where they're doing well. They need to score.
Just gotta put pucks in the net.
It kills me. Alex, I wonder if Ebbs could have not dropped the gloves and absolutely left Colorado stewing all game. I mean, we saw McKinnon got frustrated anyway. It's great that we're able to do that so consistently to Nathan McKinnon. I think if you don't fight there as Jordan Eberle, you run the risk of somebody doing something potentially dangerous later on.
Exactly. Then they start resorting to cheap shots. That's usually the next step. And then, you have a worse chance there of coming out of it clean as opposed to if you just square up.
Yeah. James, I feel like I've shouted shoot about 10 times every single game so far. Maybe less this game, but I still feel like everyone is too passive. Maybe still just gelling or learning to gel. I don't know.
I mean, they did get plenty of shots tonight, plenty of shots on goal. I think it's just getting to those areas for those second and third chances and shot selection.
Yeah, I'm going to save Coop. You don't need to type it out. I know, the shot attempts don't matter if they're all into the goalie's chest. To which I respond, hey, half of those go well wide of the net.
I mean, the one for me that just proved that, that puck luck played such a big role tonight, might have been in the last shift of the game. I don't know if you saw it, but it was that, modified fourth line. It was like Karche, Yamamoto, and McCann or something.
Yeah.
And that one to Karche right in front of the net. Georgiev was looking the entire other way, wide open net on the other side, and then Karche waits just long enough for Georgiev to get a pad on it. Like, that was the best chance they had all night, and if that didn't go in, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, there was the other one really, really early on in the game too, where Jaden Schwartz had like a year and a half. It felt like he was wide open. Oh man, that one was rough too. I guess it was an omen of things to come. Let's see. These wins are just missed opportunities. Outplayed the opponents, but McCann whiffed an open net one-timer. Berkey and Tolvanen, 2-on-1 shot goes wide. Karts elevates that puck net front 6 inches. I mean, yeah, it's true. There are missed opportunities. It is starting to not feel like it's just bad puck luck, RJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because if the Kraken are shooting at, like, let's say 7%, not great, but 7%, it's a totally different conversation. But I think tonight I was trying to lay off them as far as, just it being puck luck and maybe the shot selection isn't too much of a problem. Tonight it felt worse than the past games. I don't know. It felt like there were really more missed opportunities that were down to kind of finishing talent and decision making.
Yeah. Varen, are forward lines expected to develop chemistry faster than D pairs? I remember some of the pairs last year looking really bad for a few weeks before ultimately being fine. You want to take that one first?
Yeah, I think forward lines do develop chemistry generally faster than D pairs. And especially with forwards too, a lot of the time when you're, like, say, forechecking, it's really just down to F1, F2, F3. First forwarded on the puck, second forward comes and supports, third one stays a little bit further back. And you see that kind of no matter what line you're on, that's generally the way you attack things. And so forwards generally have that in the back of their head already, and I think it helps make the chemistry a little easier. D pairs, there's a lot more to kind of sort out and, chaotic coverage in the D zone and whatnot. But yeah, I think that's the case. Also, forwards, a lot of the time coaches like to look at it where they have usually 2 forwards that they keep together, and then they'll kind of rotate that third guy out. I think you saw that with the Bjorkstrand-Burakovsky switch, where Hackstall has that Wenberg-Schwartz pair he likes, and he has, the Tolvanen-Gord pair that he likes, and then just switching out those wingers, having the existing chemistry between those two guys usually it's not a wholesale change. That can also help.
Yeah, definitely. Good night. Just jumped on me. Good night, Pablo. And then, big super chat here from Elizabeth. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think we've improved game to game, and I think we'll figure it out. This is tough, though. Glad we can all commiserate together. Yes, I mean, it is great that we have the community, that we're able to do this together. It always does feel like we end up, leaving a lot better than we come in from an emotion standpoint. But yeah, I did feel like again, RJ, we talked about it. There were so many positives that you could take away from this game if you ignore the score.
Yeah, I mean, there really are. A lot of the underlying stuff is good. And, Dylan, you and I, we don't have a problem pointing out negatives and pointing out problems. And I feel like, there's not a lot that we're really pointing out. It's just finishing power play, finishing power play, finishing power play, right?
Yeah.
Topics wise. And usually when the Kraken have struggled in the past, it's a much wider range of problems, right? I feel like this one is just pretty narrow. You can pinpoint it. And yeah, as tough as it is right now, I think there are some positive signs.
Yes, definitely. But thank you one more time, Elizabeth. Really, really appreciate.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's just so tough, and it's one where, again, when you get 70 shot attempts, you're not gonna only score one goal every time if you get 70 shot attempts.
Well, Dylan, do you have an issue with the whole volume shooting approach that they've gone to? Because clearly they've made a choice here.
Yes.
To try and get out of the slump. We're going to volume shoot. We're going to throw lots of pucks on the net and, hope to get some bounces.
Right. I talked about it earlier. I don't, because you look at Ovechkin, Austin Matthews, the top goal scorers in this league, RJ. How do they do it? They're volume shooters, right? Like, that's how you score at some point, right? You can't always hope or try to game plan for the perfect pass, the perfect play, the perfect look at the goaltender, and then assume you're going to hit it every single time you need to. I think at some point you do have to take a volume approach.
Okay, yeah, I don't have an issue with it that much either. It's just, again, just shot selection on like odd man rushes and stuff where you've got those chances. But overall, I think you're right.
I mean, feel free to argue with me.
I just wanted to hear your take. Like that, yeah. I was curious your take on that.
Yeah. Coop, Dylan, do you think there's a connection between teams that press the top D guy on the power play and our power play being totally out of sorts? Dunn in particular seems to fall apart under that blue line pressure. I do think that teams have picked up that that's a way to get at Vince Dunn on the power play. I'm with you there. I think that's what we're seeing. I think that's partly why we're also seeing, look, what Nashville was able to key in on, the adjustment that they made in the middle of that game, as far as the moment it looked like possession was going to change, you can start sending somebody kind of streaking up ice and apply a lot of pressure on the Kraken. We know from playing Vegas and Dallas last year, the Kraken just do not handle fast transition games well at any, in any sort of situation, but especially on the power play. You're really not used to thinking about that. And I think right now teams, they have advanced scouting departments that are watching the Kraken, and they're seeing that, hey, look, this is a vulnerability that right now seems pretty easy to exploit. And so teams are going for it.
Yeah, I think if you watch the tape, that is something you get on Vince Dunn. And I think Vince Dunn specifically, I think Justin Schultz doesn't really have as much of a problem with that on the power play. And, it's just tough that it's one of those things kind of seems like built into Vince Dunn's game. Maybe second half of the season, we're not even talking about it because it's Schultz, on power play 1 and Riker Evans on power play 2. And maybe, it becomes not an issue. But for the time being, I think that is something that you have to look out for.
Definitely. Carlos, condolences from a Sharks fan, also hoping for a first win this season.
Those are the last two teams in the NHL without a win, actually. The Kraken and the Sharks. So, yeah, not good company.
When we did our division preview, didn't we say the Sharks team was going to be like one of the worst ever? And here we are with them. That's not great. Sean with the super chat. Thank you guys for being here for us, especially on nights like this. Thank you for being here too, Sean, and for everybody. It doesn't work without all of you. So thank you, and thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. And as I'm just kind of waiting there, for Hackstall and the questions and everything, I do like to go in and kind of just check and see how it's going. And it made me so happy to see just how many people we had there, on the stream, in chat and everything, see how lively chat was. I wasn't sure really how everyone was going to react given this kind of a game. It's obviously not the score you want, but to see the community really coming together and spending this time with us, I just love to see it. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, kind of know it makes some other media people a little jealous, seeing everybody in here hanging out. I feel okay saying that.
Can you see on the other side of the camera, Dylan? They're all just lined up looking at,
I know they are. So lots of good comments in here that I do want to get to, talking about things on the game and all that kind of stuff. But just because I have this thought, Lindsay's latest comment here: sea creatures remaining in the depths, Kraken and Sharks bottom dwellers confirmed. This is my new thought, RJ, because that is true, right? And everything's been leaning into the depths with the Kraken, right? I think we need to debut the Sky Kraken. We need to regress into the clouds, RJ. The Kraken needs to take to the skies, leave the depths, ascend to the top, and maybe the winds will follow. What do you think? Is everybody with this? Maybe.
I think built-in sponsor opportunity there too. I think, what is it? Is it Fremont Brewing that has the Sky Kraken beer? You can just throw that right in there too. But yeah, maybe. I mean, there's too many bottom of the Pacific jokes to be made right now with the Sharks and Kraken where they're at in the standings.
Yeah, no, I think some sort of Kraken airship would be fine. We could get on.
Draw it up. Start making blueprints still and get the whiteboard out.
Yes, definitely. Harvey, crowd was frustrated by the extra passes and lack of good shot taking. And then Alex, volume shooting is fine, but not generating or getting to rebounds is a problem. This is my thing with the volume shooting. And I will say I'm in favor of the volume shooting. If you're going, I've said this since day one. We've been doing ECH, RJ. I hate shots that miss the net, right? If you know you can't pick a corner, just shoot for the pads, spit out a rebound, let chaos ensue. You will get dirty goals, right? You're not going to get them every time, maybe not even every game, but you will get goals by doing that. We've seen that. That is just how hockey is played. That is something I would like the Kraken to start doing more.
Agreed. And I think Haxtell agrees with us too. He said that there are too many this morning. He said there are too many pictures where you have 5 on the outside, just 5 guys all along the outside. And that's something he wants the team to improve on. And, he notices it in the film room. Like, they're watching that and they can see too many times that guys aren't going to the net. And he acknowledged, it's a tough place to go. And, you usually take some punishment there, but you have to do it, especially if you're going with the volume shooting approach.
Yeah. Is that a car alarm in there? Somebody trying to jack one of the Zambonis down there on the ice? What's going on?
It does sound like a car alarm, doesn't it? It is some kind of alarm, I think. I've heard it go off before. I don't know what for. They're moving all the seats back, actually. They're, like, pushing it all back. I don't know if there's something going on here tomorrow, but, yeah, they're just, like, retracting all the seats. It looks kind of cool.
All right, so
let's see if I can show everyone.
Yeah. Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that's the seat retracting alarm. I don't know.
Yeah. Don't get stuck back there. That seems fine. OSHA approves, I'm sure. Coop, we're never great, but I feel like we're definitely better when other teams are more packed in and our D guy is free to skate and swing the puck. Again, commenting on what we were talking about earlier with Vince Dunn on the power play. Daniel, nobody's mentioned the beautiful move by Adam Larson. How smooth was that, RJ? On a night
that was awesome.
I know, where on a night where McDavid and his whole weird coming through the neutral zone, he gets knocked down, spins around, but just comes up and plays the puck and makes it look all easy, where that goes viral. I feel like on any, why did that have to happen to my boy? Right? Adam Larson would have been the viral highlight from today. It was so smooth. It was like,
go ahead.
60 frames per second when it actually works and looks good. That's what that looked like.
Yeah, I mean, if that shot goes in, I'm doing a whole detailed video breakdown on that play because, on my tweet, I probably buried the lead with that because everyone was commenting on the Larson move. I just love the breakout. Yes. It was a really quick pass to the middle. Eberle, who's under major pressure, he's got Manson bearing down on him, spins around real quick, makes a tape-to-tape pass, I think, to Matty Beniers to get that puck out of the zone. Just gorgeous breakout. And, of course, Eberle just sacrificing to make the play there. And it gets everything going. And, then, of course, you've got the awesome move from Adam Larson. Just beautiful play all around. If only that had scored. One more thing on Adam Larson, Dylan. I'm sure you probably already mentioned it to everyone. Did you know he led the Kraken in shots on goal tonight with 6?
Look at that.
Nobody else had more than 3.
In all honesty, I mean, that's a good number for him.
Yep, number 6. 6 for 6.
I should tell him I want to start seeing that every game. Sean, the first 30 minutes were really good. Definitely not a full game, but important to note that Colorado did not play very well and still won 4-1. I mean, we have noted it. It is unfortunate because that means a game at the expense of the Kraken. But I think the Kraken even played, better than 30 minutes. It really didn't feel like until there was about 7 minutes left in this one, RJ, that they kind of finally ran out of gas.
Yeah, I think actually about the 7-minute mark, you're just about right. With that kind of killer goal, the third one for the Avs, kind of, broke the crack, and they realized, okay, with how we're scoring, we're not going to get back in this one.
Yeah, lots of love for the Sky Kraken. So we might need to do that. We need a Kraken blimp, something. Yes, we need something. Elizabeth, very Legend of Zelda. Lots of this. As Ricky said, it's better than a human sacrifice, which is definitely true. So we'll try to get pitch that to the team when we can. I'll get them going on the Sky Kraken.
That's our sales pitch. It's just better than a human sacrifice. Like, these are your options.
That's it. Absurdly saying we have over 100 on a lost night. That's incredible when you remember nights when there was only a couple dozen of us in the first season. That is very true. We have come a long way. This community, so thankful to have all of you in here. I mean, it's just so fantastic. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
Lindsay, hey, you know what could bring the Kraken to the surface? A hurricane. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
There we go.
Lindsay, you've been on fire tonight. Let's
that's how you get a Kraken up into the sky.
Yes. Okay, Jules, it sounds like our fire alarm at Crypto. I think I was there for one of those, covering a Kings game, joining the post-game live for one of those. And then the other one where there was like the cannons going off.
So, yeah.
That was them also retracting the seats while I was still in the section that was going to be retracted. So that was fun.
I think in San Jose, remember there was that like rocket launch, prep type sound or whatever. Remember that?
Yes. And again, all of this should be happening in Anaheim, where the ice, as we know, actually gets pulled away to allow the Mighty Ducks to actually launch on their car spaceship thing out from under the ice there. Because that's what they do at the pond, and only real
You've seen the cartoon.
OGs will know that. Yes. All right, so let's just try to really quick run through this last stuff here as we're over the hour mark officially. Let's see. Now I gotta find stuff again. Georgiev was giving up some juicy rebounds tonight. On the few times that the Kraken shot for him, he was.
Yeah, if you target those pads down low or just those rebound generating areas, he was. The shots right to the chest, not so much, but yeah, the rebounds were there to be had.
Yes. Let's see here. Oh, Wu-Tang Clan is playing tomorrow. RJ, that's what's going on. Elizabeth, if you guys could switch up the lines, who would you move? Feels like the first line needs some fire. You have a gut reaction one to go for, RJ?
Yeah, you know what? I would move Karche up to the first line, move McCann down to the second line, and see maybe him with like Wenberg and Burakovsky. And then, I mean, who does that leave? That's just like... That's
then Gord, Bjorkstrand, Tolvanen again.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's okay. That's what I would do. And then, who does that move to the fourth line?
Would that move Schwartz down to the fourth line?
You know what? I'm fine with that for a game or two. Let's see how it works.
All right, here's what I say. I still want to see Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand together. I still think that they're the only two East-West players on this team. The fact that they aren't playing together still blows my mind. So I want to see Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand together. I think you stick them on a line with Wenberg and you tell them to just go for it, and you tell Wenberg to just stay out of the way. I think, play defense, let the other two guys only focus on offense. Don't worry about two-way play, because I know that is something that Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand can do, is they do like to be responsible. Don't be responsible. Just go for it. Wenberg will take care of you, and I'm with you. I would put Cartier up there with Beniers and Eberle, try to recreate some of that playoff magic, because it scored goals. It did.
And it was a different look, too. It wasn't just kind of filling in for the way McCann plays. It's more of a power forward approach. And, when you struggle to score, I think you could use a little bit of that.
Yeah. Lots to talk about the Wu-Tang Clan in here now. For the children, as Carlos says, and as Edward said, I've heard that they're nothing to F with, RJ.
Yeah, I have heard that as well.
Yeah. And then some talk of Matty only having 6 shots on the season. Look, he's not a volume shooter. He never has been a volume shooter. So, and he's missed the net a couple times on some 2-on-1. So I guess we'll cut him a little bit of a slack.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it for this one. I started us off, RJ. Oh man, my transition into the sponsor read for Flat Stick Pub. So fantastic on this one, because it was all about, there are some sports where you do only want to have a score of 1 at the end, such as mini golf. And I will reiterate that. So hopefully everybody, you head over to Flatstick. I want to start seeing, now that games are back in Seattle, I want to start seeing some pictures from everybody there, and make sure to tag Flatstick too. They love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they do. So, tag Flatstick, tag us. Yeah, let us know. Show us your scorecard. You have a good round. Show us.
Yeah. Oh, we could start that as a thing. I think.
Yeah, we could, like, on the Discord, just have like a contest, see who can get the best scores on things.
Yes, and again, if it's a Kraken game day and you're going to the Kraken game, you head over to that South Lake Union location, get 50% off those games, including mini golf beforehand. Get that round in. Send us send us it. Then, afterwards, you can head over there, get your $1 off beer, hop into post-game live, and brag about how great you are at mini golf. Trust me, I will be impressed as someone who is not good at mini golf. I will give you lots of props and kudos. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this one. Hopefully we'll get a better result on Thursday against the Hurricanes. I think we're getting there. Hey, Toddy, right here with the super chat right at the end here. Just want to say thanks for all the good vibes in the stream despite the loss. Still love joining these post games from New Zealand this season. Well, we're very, very happy to have you in here. It's awesome. All right. Then
so much.
Everybody, as Jake says, better days ahead. I believe that. We will see you all next time.